This problem states, suppose two trains leave from the same station at the same time but move in opposite directions. One train averages 56 miles per hour and the other averages 64 miles per hour. How far apart will the trains be at the end of 3 hours? And how much time will it take for the trains to be 600 miles apart? So the first thing we're going to need to do is draw a picture, or else we can get really confused really easily. So that's my train house. Nothing fancy. So the trains are moving at opposite directions. So we're going to go ahead and have one train leaving at 56 mph. We're going to call this train A. And then train B is leaving in the opposite direction. That is a crucial word. In the opposite direction, averaging 64 miles per hour. Now to review, miles per hour means in 1 hour, a train going 64 or averaging 64 miles per hour will travel 64 miles. So in approximately 30 minutes, a train moving 64 miles per hour will move approximately 32 miles, since 30 minutes is half of an hour. So the first part of the question says, how far apart will the trains be at the end of 3 hours? So if we know that the train moves respectively at 56 miles per hour and 64 miles per hour, all we have to do is multiply each of these numbers by 3. So if we have 56 miles per hour, in 3 hours, this train will have moved, so let's see, 6 times 3 is 18. Carry over that 1. That gives us 168 miles. The second train is moving at 64 miles per hour times 3 hours. So 4 times 3 is 12. We'll carry that 1. 6 times 3 is 18 plus 1. So train A moved 168 miles in 3 hours, and train B moved 192 miles in 3 hours. Now to figure out how apart the trains will be at the end of the 3 hours, we're going to need to add these two mileages together because the trains are leaving from the same station, moving in opposite directions. So 168 times 192, so 8 plus 2 is 10. We'll carry the 1. 9 plus 1 is 10, and then plus 6 is 16. Go ahead and carry the 1. So, in 3 hours, the trains will be 360 miles apart. Now we'll need to go ahead and solve the second part of this problem. So, in 3 hours, the trains move 360 miles. 3 hours is the same thing as saying 180 minutes, because you have 60 minutes, since 1 hour is 60 minutes, and you multiply that times 3, that's 180 minutes. So, if you divide 360 miles by 180 minutes, you can find out how many miles per minute the train is moving. So we can go ahead and simplify this by crossing out those zeros. And 36 divided by 18 is simply 2 miles per minute. So next we need to find out how many more miles we have to travel in addition to the 3 hours, the 360 miles we've traveled in 3 hours. So 600 miles minus 360 miles. That gives us 240 miles left to travel. So, if we're traveling at 2 miles per minute, and we have 240 miles left to travel, we can say 2 miles per minute. So we can multiply both sides. The numerator and denominator of this fraction. 2 miles. So all of this bottom cancels out. So we're basically left with 240 miles divided by 2 miles is going to give us the number of minutes. So that's going to be 120 minutes. 120 minutes, if you divide by 60 minutes, which since there's 60 minutes in an hour, that gives us 2 hours. So the answer is not 2 hours. You have to pay attention. We've already used that we've traveled 360 miles in 3 hours. So the correct answer is going to be 3 hours plus 2 hours, which is 5 hours. So to recap, the answer to part 1 is going to be that the trains are 360 miles apart. And the answer to part 2 will be that it will take 5 hours for the trains to be 600 miles apart.